And now to more details on our second leading story this morning. In the DRC, state-provided free education introduced by President Felix Tshisekedi has plunged the Catholic private education sector into what some have described as an unprecedented teacher strike, causing unrest in parts of the country. Since the introduction of this controversial measure, 13,000 teachers are now in danger of no longer being paid. Ruth.
Officially, education has been free since the start of the school year on September 2 in public schools and for those who have signed an agreement with the state. Except that on the ground, teachers' unions in Catholic and Protestant schools with state agreements have launched a strike to protest against the drop in their incomes. And the movement started in South Kivu. So now we have Jacques Sirimwani from the Union of Catholic Schools joining us on the line. Good morning and thank you for joining us on the program. So what can you tell us about the teacher strike that is paralyzing the Catholic Convention schools in Bukavu? So many schools in the city of Bukavu are not functioning at the moment for very avoidable reasons, but reasons very well known. You know, the president came up with a good innovation of free education at primary school level and even at secondary school level. So parents do not have to worry about paying teachers. The major problem that teachers face during this period of free access is that there are many of them going unpaid, and there are new school units and education agents who are not registered and therefore do not receive anything on payday. And remember that in the past, all these agents were taken care of by parents, and now that is no longer the case. So the teachers had no other choice but to strike.
But before going on strike, did you make any efforts in engaging the authorities?
Well, a commission was created and set up at the provisional level to see how these teachers should be cared for locally, even having a little less than $50 until they are recognized by the central government. But when the commission was created, we found that there were provincial authorities who really seemed to be suspending the issue, despite all the proposals we had given ourselves as unions, which should have been beneficial proposals to support free education. And there's also the low salaries that teachers receive. Frankly, it is a salary that does not allow a teacher to make ends meet. So when you speak about these low salaries, can we know how much a primary or a secondary teacher earns in the DRC?
$250 à $450 et quand les salaires étaient pris par les parents et aujourd'hui c'est 2 fois moins.
En fait, l'enseignant
So the lowest paid teacher in the DRC has maybe $100 today with the salary increase we've seen, while the highest paid teacher has perhaps $180. So if you try to analyze the cost of living, especially for teachers who live within the cities, I take the case of Bukavu. You'll never find a house for rent for less than $50, even for just a room. And include this sum with electricity, water, catering, communication. Just imagine. So think of what they're saying about the Congolese teacher with all these expenses and what the government is saying they really deserve.
Jack, just before we let you go, what message would you like to pass to the authorities? What message do you have for them?
So we're not asking to go back to the starting point where parents were in charge of paying teachers. We're just saying that from now on, our complaints will be taken directly to those who set this up. A teacher is a licensed executive. He has the right to a commendable consideration that he gives a quality education, especially since the teaching profession is a profession of trust. So the more the teacher is not paid or is unpaid or not paid well, the more it affects the quality of teaching. And so that is why today in Africa and even in the world, a Congolese intellectual is a competitive one. And so we've never shown that we don't deserve this amount of money.